Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Queen Thanos Kamla, the new destroyer of Trinidad and Tobago, the new destroyer of our democracy, insists that the states of emergency implemented by her government are temporary measures to fight crime, calling it a strategy sorely needed to reverse a quarter-century of violence. So she's saying 25 years of violence, right? So this temporary SoE, how long does it have to be? How long does it have to be temporary for, my dear, Your Highness? Your Highness, how long does this have to remain temporary for? For the next 4 years? Maybe, just maybe, she's going to stop it when they finally pass their new version of the SoE law. Let's just hope that is what is going to take place. I still don't approve of this extension. Anyhow you take it. You cannot govern a nation using an SoE. That's not a strategy. That is not a crime-fighting strategy. The government will be going to Parliament to request a 3-month extension to its second SoE since taking office. Well, last night it did, and they ended up passing it. This report, of course, was from yesterday. It's no longer will. They went and they passed it. As the Prime Minister told members of the media, the vast majority of citizens remain on board with these actions. I want to know how she knows what is in the minds of all the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. My response: has Queen Kamla spoken to the vast majority of this population? Is she a mind reader? No? Is she telepathic or something like that? I want to know how she knows that. I want to say, was a referendum conducted? Now, if it is, they had a referendum, right? And people voted in favor of the SoE. I still wouldn't have supported it, but at least I would have said that there was a democratic process which took place in order to make this serious decision. You see, people, as I said before, you cannot govern a nation via an SoE. You cannot fight crime via an SoE. An SoE is only supposed to be used under an emergency, something that is temporary, really temporary, such as if you have an insurrection, if you have rioting taking place, then you declare an SoE. And of course, in a case like a riot, unless it's widespread throughout the country, you just have an something that is under for that particular location, or probably like in Trinidad, because we could do the SoE law. Maybe I might have to temporarily call a state of emergency in order to be able to get things back under control. If you have an insurrection like what took place in 1990, you have an SoE. And then as soon as you get things back under control, you end the SoE, just like what took place in 1990. You do not continue to use it and declare it and extend it because of a long-term issue like crime. That is unconstitutional, and to make matters worse now, you're no longer just suspending the rights of citizens to privacy in their homes, where police can invade anyone's homes without a warrant. That people is so undemocratic. And then you're not only infringing upon the rights of suspects people, to being released during a short space of time, a certain space of time, if there's no evidence to prove that they should be charged with a crime. So you're already infringing upon citizens' rights that way. But now, to make matters worse, you're also infringing upon the law-abiding citizens' rights to peacefully protest in certain significant locations here in Trinidad and Tobago. Kamla knows very well, to have a successful protest, you need to be located by the Red House, by other government buildings. And that is why she has restricted those zones, restricted those areas as no protest zones, people. That's exactly what she did. This has nothing to do with any security threat. How come we were not a threat when Rowley was in office and we were protesting in those same areas? UNC supporters were chanting, Rowley must go, by the DPP office, by the parliament, by the courts. How come it was not a threat back then, Kamla? How come you never told citizens, stop protesting in these areas because you're posing a threat to government officials? How come? The hypocrisy, people, the hypocrisy. something I can't stand at all. I went on to say, legal action needs to be taken against this rogue regime, and this tyrant, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, should be removed from office via a vote of no confidence. But after that vote taking place last night, and Munilal and Jolene John approved of that SOE, we already know there's never going to be any vote of no confidence. So the UNC is therefore no longer a viable option. They're definitely going to lose the general election in 2030. And let's see what's going to happen with the local election. It's either going to be called sometime later this year or next year. I already expect that they're going to lose most of the corporations here in Trinidad. If they do end up holding on to a lot still, I will be surprised. I'll be definitely surprised. But from what I am seeing, they're going to lose most of those corporations. And they will have no one but to blame but themselves. Because you promised people one thing and you came and did the other. You promised that you were going to reduce the fees and the fines and find other strategic ways in order to be able to prevent people from speeding on the nation roadways and driving recklessly and drinking. I mean, I'm driving under the influence of alcohol and so forth and other substances. Instead, you came and you doubled those fees and fines. You called the PNM government wicked and evil for those fines, and then you came and doubled it instead. So what are you, Queen Kamla? You called Rowley and the government evil for those same fees and fines, and yet you came and double it. So then you double evil. You don't find so, Kamla? But I'm telling you, the hypocrisy, people, the hypocrisy. And now, besides that, you're standing up with the TTPS. The UNC is standing up with the TTPS even when people are saying, we want justice for extrajudicial killings. We don't want the TTPS to stop functioning as a law enforcement agency. You know, we want them to abide by the laws. And we want, when officers commit extrajudicial killings, that they are held accountable for their actions. They are charged, and they are prosecuted, and they are imprisoned. That is what we want. We want a law-abiding law enforcement agency. Police officers who abide by the law while enforcing it upon others. Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Dr. Rudal Munilal, has criticized former Energy Minister Stuart Young, Zami Young, questioning the effectiveness of his stewardship of the energy sector while in office. Speaking during the debate on the Finance Bill 2026, Dr. Munilal said performance in office must be measured by results, not promises or claims about who initiated what, but by actual delivery. Now, he's correct. And as I keep telling people, don't get me wrong, UNC is still going to perform much better than the PNM when it pertains to reviving the energy sector, reviving our economy, developing infrastructure, improving healthcare and so forth, the educational system here in Trinidad and Tobago. But you see, that's the thing about it. The evil that is being committed by the regime, this act of tyranny, the increases of fees and fines and so forth, those evil actions are overshadowing all the good being done by the UNC. We need to restore the traditional people-centered types of policies in the UNC. Let me ask you something. How come none of these types of controversial policies being implemented were mentioned in the manifesto? You know why? Because they would have never won the general election.
I want to just begin by telling the speaker before me that we do not agree with you that persons on this side don't know how to pronounce Aphrodite, which you also pronounce wrong, but you don't know how to pronounce sip, or you don't know how to pronounce mahogany and things. This thing has nothing to do with pronouncing any language. The long and short is that you are arguing, and I've heard it before, that they laid the foundation for this, they laid the foundation for that, they laid the foundation for the other. You know how much men put on foundation for a house and never build a house? You know how much people build foundation and never build a house? We are building the house. We are building the house. And my friend, everything, they did this, they did that, they did the other. But yet, as I'll come to in a few minutes, you had decline in oil production. You had decline in gas production. You had the closure of several plants, including the refinery, which was really the biggest plant. You had that 10 years of collapse in the energy sector, but you were doing everything right. You understood everything. They traveled with the Prime Minister like Marco Polo throughout the world. Today they can travel all over the world because they have chalked up about 20 million air miles. They could do that. And they travel. And Madam Speaker, they travel because when you look at the name tag, it is Integritas. What is this? Integritas Chambers.
Weather report for Thursday, June 11, 2026, Trinidad and Tobago. On Thursday, June 11, 2026, Trinidad and Tobago will experience partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with occasional light to moderate showers and a low to medium 30% to 40% chance of heavy showers or isolated thunderstorms. Ambient temperatures are expected to range from a low of 23 degrees Celsius to a high of 29 degrees Celsius across the islands. Due to high humidity ranging from 75% to 100%, the heat index will feel like 33 degrees Celsius. East to southeasterly winds will blow between 10 to 45 kilometers per hour. Winds may become strongly gusty in the immediate vicinity of heavy downpours or thunderstorms. Seas will remain moderate with open water waves hitting 1.5 to 2.0 meters. Sheltered areas will see calmer waves near 1.0 meter, though they can temporarily become choppy during showers. Spring tides are actively in effect, so extra caution is advised along coastal lines. A mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust will remain present in the atmosphere, creating slightly hazy horizons. Individuals with respiratory sensitivities should plan accordingly. Short-lived street or flash flooding is a distinct possibility during intense localized downpours from late morning to early afternoon. Sudden wind surges near thunderstorm cells could cause unsecured outdoor items to shift or result in minor utility disruptions.
Regional news now. On Wednesday, Agriculture Minister Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa met with a visiting U.S. industry executive delegation led by former United States Ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch, to discuss investment opportunities with Guyana's rapidly expanding agriculture sector. Really, I'm telling you, the development taking place in Guyana at an exponential rate. During the engagement, Minister Mustafa highlighted the significant transformation taking place within the sector and outlined the government's vision of positioning the country as a major agricultural powerhouse in the region. Yes, people, we are going to benefit even here in Trinidad and Tobago. He explained that while Guyana has made substantial gains in increasing agricultural production, the government is also focused on developing a robust agro-industrial sector that will allow the country to move beyond primary production and add greater value to agricultural commodities. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation in Jamaica has announced that provisions under the Divisional Allocation Fund will be increased from $10 million to $13 million for each urban division and to $13.5 million for rural divisions. I like how they're actually giving extra money to the rural divisions. That sounds good, man. Andrew Holders? Yeah, that sounds good, man. DAF covers road repairs, monthly programs, Labor Day allocations, mitigation initiatives, employment generation, and emergency funding across each division.
I am pleased to advise that the KSAMC will be increasing the Divisional Allocation Fund from $10 million to $30 million for each division. $13 million, which and to 13.5 for rural divisions. This increase was approved by the Finance Committee following careful consideration and reflects the Council's continued commitment to strengthening service delivery at the community level. This adjustment is particularly significant as it advanced the position that I have long supported, including during my tenure as Minority Leader. when I advocated for increased allocation to the divisions to better equip councillors to address the needs of their constituents. While the administration was committed to increasing the DAF, it was necessary to exercise strict fiscal restraint as we work to address outstanding debts inherited from the previous administration, while simultaneously meeting current financial obligations. Councillors, one of the challenges we continue to face is to clear the over $205 million in retention payment owed to contractors for work already completed. This amount includes $164 million which this administration inherited. Nevertheless, through prudent financial management, disciplined expenditure controls, and a deliberate program of fiscal recovery, the Council is steadily improving its financial position. The increase in the DAF is therefore a tangible demonstration of that progress and reflect our commitment to strengthen the capacity of councillors to undertake priority projects and respond more effectively to the needs and concerns of communities.
Yes, sir.
And if anybody just forget, it covers road repairs, the monthly program, Labor Day allocation, the mitigation program, employment generation, and emergency fund in times of when, as it may arise. So those are what it covers. Councillors.
AI advancements. Labour Minister Pierre Glover outlined the Bahamas vision for artificial intelligence and the future of work during the 114th session of the International Labour Conference in Geneva, highlighting plans for AI legislation, workforce training, expanded access through Upskill Bahamas, and efforts to ensure workers benefit from emerging technologies while closing the digital divide. Now, as I keep telling people recently, I and all use AI to an extent when I'm producing my content, right? Not in the recording of my videos, but I'm talking about, you know, the thumbnails and so forth, right? And with the weather forecast and things. So I don't have a problem with AI, but we need to be very cautious about how we use it and how much it is used. And understand that we as human beings have to make sure and always be dominant and ensure that this does not end up getting out of control. And be aware and remember that the Antichrist system is being set up and that the 7-year tribulation period can start at any point in time. We don't know when. I am not a prophet, so I don't know when exactly the 7-year tribulation period will start. But it can start at any point in time. We are in the end times. What was prophesied in the Bible is being fulfilled on a daily basis, even these wars in the Middle East. And therefore, that AI technology will definitely be used by the Antichrist himself, so we have to be cautious. That's all I'm telling people. Be wise, be cautious, keep your eyes open.
Our approach begins with responsibility. We recently passed updated data protection laws, and in our blueprint for progress, we've committed to AI-specific legislation that addresses the risks we discussed today. We're also preparing our people. More than 14,000 Bahamians have already enrolled in Upskill Bahamas, our free online learning initiative, which includes training in artificial intelligence. We are expanding enrollment to 25,000 in the coming months. We are already advancing plans for a Bahamas AI Academy to provide deeper training and help our people leverage AI in their careers and businesses. These initiatives are designed with accessibility and equity at the core.
International news now. President Trump just signed the Secure America Act. Now, this is wonderful news. guaranteeing full funding for Border Patrol and ICE for the rest of his presidency. See that we going back every minute for funding, people. He got what he needed, the country needed, and that is really good for America. Standing alongside congressional Republican leaders in the Oval Office, Trump said he was thrilled to provide the necessary resources for the critical agencies at the center of his deportation and border security agenda. The measure passed despite unified Democratic opposition and comes after months of fierce fights over immigration enforcement funding. Now, people, having said that it is really good that this was passed, the bill was passed, and therefore the funding, there's no problem with the funding anymore for the next few years. I honestly, I say this all the time, and I've been saying that for many years now. The immigration policies under the Republicans too extreme. They lack compassion. And Christian conservatives, a lot of pastors even in America, don't agree with exactly how Republicans and Trump go about dealing with these immigrants. People, you have to have compassion. The Bible says to do so. It doesn't mean you have to be like the radical left and leave your borders open. No. Protect your borders. Arrest the criminal gang members, those that are committing violent, being violent and so forth. Send them back to their home countries. But the individuals that were born in America and those that are seeking employment and have been abiding by the law in general, because nobody is perfect. Yes, it was wrong that they entered the country, but all I'm saying is, the manner in which they are dealing with this whole issue, they're lacking compassion, people. And just like how police officers abuse their authority, ICE is also well known for abusing their authority as well. So when you see protests taking place, it isn't always because the radical left just wants illegal immigrants in America. It's because there are times when ICE has abused their authority. People were either killed or abused by, or assaulted and so forth by the ICE agents. But I support just like I support law enforcement here in Trinidad and Tobago, but I want them to abide by the laws of their countries, whether it's in America or here in Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, ICE agents need to be able to abide by the law as well. No extrajudicial killings or anything like that. ICE agents treat people with respect. They are human beings, after all, and the Bible tells us to treat them with respect. Israel's foreign ministry. Yesterday evening and again this morning, and literally this morning, because I got this stuff off of Telegram this morning. By now it's afternoon time in Israel, of course. The Iranian terror regime's proxy Hezbollah launched drones at Israel from Lebanon in a blatant violation of the ceasefire again. But of course, BBC and CNC3 and CNN and stuff like that will never tell you that is the, sometimes they do it, but they will never admit that it's always the Hezbollah terrorists and stuff like that that continue to provoke and attack Israel. And then, of course, Israel has to retaliate. And sometimes there are preemptive strikes, but it's because of intelligence showing that there's a buildup of people that are gathering in certain areas, and there's a plan and there's a plot to attack Israel. So you have to be proactive at times as well. Hezbollah does not serve Lebanon. It serves the interests of the Iranian terror regime, while the Lebanese people pay the price. Of course, that statement was made by Messianic Jew and Bible teacher Amir Safati.
James 1:24-27 NIV. For he looks at himself and, going away, immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.